How to sew an invisible zipper. Parts of the zipper. Front side. Zipper pull. Upper stop. Lower stop. Right side. Wrong side. Teeth, also referred to as the coil. And the fabric is considered the zipper tape. Step 1. From the wrong side, open the zipper and press flat the teeth. They are rolled to one side, so you will need to roll the coil and press flat. This will take a few minutes. Make sure that your iron is on the synthetic setting. The coils are polyester or nylon, and any higher setting will melt. So you will need to set the iron on synthetic and press the coils flat on both sides all the way down the length of the zipper. Again, this will take a few minutes. Next step, take your garment and mark the seam allowance. I'm using a 5/8 inch seam allowance. I'm going to mark 5/8 of an inch all the way down to equal the length of the zipper tape, plus a couple of extra inches so that I'll know where that line is. So I'm using a 5/8 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to mark that seam allowance line on both sides on the wrong side of the garment. This will be my stitch line to stitch in the zipper. Do not sew any section of this seam closed. Keep it open. That will aid in inserting the zipper. Again, I'm using a 5/8 inch seam allowance. and I'm marking that 5/8 inch seam allowance to denote the stitch line to stitch in the zipper. And that is the wrong side. And that is the wrong side of the garment. Also make the markings on the right side of the garment. Now take the right side of your garment and the right side of your zipper tape. Remember, the right side is where the pull is on. And align one edge of the zipper tape to the right side of the garment. So right side of the zipper tape to the right side of the garment, and place the coil or the teeth right on your 5/8 inch seam allowance or stitching line mark. Pull the top end of the zipper up to the edge of your garment and place the teeth or the coil right on the 5/8 inch seam allowance. Start pinning in the zipper, and you want to place your pin securely starting at the top, the very top, and place the pin right in the middle between the coil and the edge of the zipper. So you're going to place that pin right in the middle and align the rest of the pins all the way down the zipper tape. And with zippers, to ensure that they are securely fastened to the garment before you sew it, you want that zipper tape tightly fastened, no bumps, no humps. Be generous with your pinning and pin fairly close together. Again, aligning the coil teeth right on your 5/8 inch stitching or seam allowance mark. Keeping the pins between that line and the teeth and the edge of the zipper fabric. And do this one side at a time. Notice the top pin and the pin at the bottom of the tape. Those are 2 points that you definitely want to fasten the tape, zipper tape, to the fabric. Now we will start to sew. Be sure to change your general purpose foot to a zipper sewing foot. The zipper foot has the wider base at the back and 2 chambers, a left chamber and a right chamber, 2 grooves, a left groove and a right groove where the needle goes into the fabric, and a longer forward foot. This longer foot allows us to get close or stitch close to the zipper coil. The wider base allows for more surface area of the fabric to be covered, therefore holding the fabric securely down as it stitches the zipper in. To change out your zipper foot to your zipper foot, you want to locate your clamp at the back, push it in, the foot attachment drops off, place your zipper foot underneath, line up the bar to the groove on the side, and we're going to use the right chamber or the right groove, and that's the side you want to line up, and then press down the lever and bring it back up, and your zipper foot is on. Align your zipper at the very top. Roll your needle down into the zipper and the fabric, and you can remove the top pin now that you've secured it. Now we've pressed this coil flat earlier, so where we've pressed it, there is a really faint guideline right in this groove going down the coil. That's where we're going to stitch, and that stitch line should match up to our mark that we made on the 5/8 inch seam allowance line. Okay, we'll start stitching. You want to start stitching, and by the way, some instructions will tell you to use a concealed zipper foot. You don't have to. You can use this regular zipper foot. You start stitching, and then you want to back stitch to secure. Then you move forward again. Now the key is to stay close to, as close as possible to the coil as you're stitching down. Do not sew over your pins. Remove your pins as you stitch down the coil. And I'm using a wooden stiletto. This is actually a cake pop stick, to make sure that the coil is rolled over and that I'm stitching in that rolled section all the way down. If you don't have a stiletto or a cake pop that you can use a pixie stick or you can use your seam ripper. You just need something to kind of push that coil over, to keep it pushed over as you are stitching. Even though we pressed it, we don't want it to roll back. Now I'm coming down close to this zipper pull, and we want to keep the zipper open just as it is so that we can grab this pull and get it out of the way when we need to. And I'll show you exactly what that means. So we're coming down to that pull. We want to make sure our needle is still down into the fabric and the zipper. Then we can raise the presser foot because the needle is holding everything in, and we can pull this stop up, and we may have to kind of pivot the fabric a little bit, but we can pull on this zipper pull a little bit, keeping the needle in. Sometimes it's a little bit harder than usual, because we want to make sure that our stitch line is as straight as possible. Raise it up just a little bit. And I'm going to lower it a little bit. And sometimes you can use your seam ripper or stiletto to push it up. And then we can continue with our stitching. We want to push it up to clear the way and get it out of the way of the foot, and then we can continue our stitching. I'm coming to the very end of the tape. I want to stitch all the way down to the end of the tape, back stitch, and then I can stop. Once you have stitched that first stitch line, this is what it looks like.